Alright, so I had to, sorry, there's a little bit of a step there and it hurts getting up it. I had to go in that room there because my mouse pad here was in that room over there. This one is part of my collection of police officer cards and such. I gotta find a way to put this down so that y'all can actually see it. Zoe Tanner's number and extension. She did not do her fucking job. Amelia Power. I don't even know who the fuck she is. I think that's one of the numbers that I was trying to get a hold of. She's out of Centennial, Colorado. Anthony Falcone. He was I believe that was the name of the guy who, Kevin Fry. I forgot this guy. I got his wife's phone number. John Greenlee, Sarah Hildenbrand, Emily Fiscus, Shelby Dean, Julia Marcellia, Steve McCrohan. Steve McCrohan is one of the guys who came in and was, here's another one, Thomas Kentley, James Carback, Ali Moadelli. I mean, these are all people that I had to deal with. These are some notes that I took. Jeffrey Ritchie, Irish, I know from Starbucks. This is when I was in 1 Charlie 9 in Arapahoe County Jail. He informed me that in February of 2017, Matty Boa had messed with a Jeep that was outside of his house, and that a Detective Nielsen, who is a female, came to his house. She was an Adams County detective, about the person who was in that vehicle getting into an accident. Derek Thor Apodaca used to date a girl named Jasmine, who was 13 years old at the time that he was dating her. This is the guy who had assaulted me. When I was telling Jeffrey Ritchie about Derek Apodaca, he was telling me this story. Jasmine was 22 at the time that I was in the jail, according to Jeffrey Ritchie. And she is addicted to heroin, a prostitute, possibly Crystal Beaucomp's sister. Crystal Beaucomp was raped by Boulder PD officer, given mentally ill treatment, and lost her child. Jackie Parcell, J. Adam Beckman, Stephanie Howard, Kathleen M. Jagsky was the first judge. Peterson, Franklin, McRae, and Thorne were the officers who had me put on suicide watch for trying to turn them in. McRae made my life hell. She intentionally did this. However, this is about the card collection and not just that evidence. So I'm going to make sure that I keep this together because that's pretty fucking important. I kept notes everywhere that I went. A lot of the people that I was in contact with and the things that were said. I actually am going through a bag here that's full of cards. And I have another collection of cards. And almost every one of these bags has card after card after card after card after card. Officer Brian Valenzuela, I was trying to write notes down whenever I could. Whenever I was allowed to have a pencil, I wrote stuff down, including who was involved, where they were from. I believe this is my public pretender here in Chapel, Nebraska, but I'm not for certain. I'll have to call him and try to get that information. Bozeman Deaconess Hospital. Richard Stewart, 406-580-4817. Dr. Johnson and Caroline, the 8W. When these guys said that I wasn't trying to get help, I certainly was. This one is for Recovery Wyoming, the PATH program coordinator. And because I'm not an addict, and the worst you were going to find in my system, unless I was injected with it at a facility, is marijuana. Dawn Cranmore is the coordinator there. Here's Jeff Taco Ortiz, the former sheriff here in Chapel, Nebraska. He has actually assaulted me. While I was in handcuffs, he slammed me to the floor. Cody Selhorst here in Chapel. Stephanie J. Cotton. She was pretending like she was going to do Amanda Jonas's job. I went in repeatedly to show Amanda Jonas evidence, and this woman, Stephanie J. Cotton, stepped in like she was going to be my attorney, and then she was telling me that she couldn't be my attorney and she couldn't look at any of the evidence because she wasn't my attorney. I'm like, you know what? This is the third or fourth time that I've come down here to see her, and she's never here. Here's one of the officers that I talked to here in Nebraska, Cruz Hoffrick. I mean, I was really seriously trying to get help the best I could. Colorado Law. This is one of the places where they said, hey, you have to have your witnesses write stuff down. And Miss Peaches kept saying that she was going to. She just never did. Here's Equal Justice Wyoming and Legal Aid of Wyoming on the back of it. Comprehensive Life Resources. This is in Tacoma, Washington. I mean, everywhere that I went, I was trying to get help. Here's Jared Hahn's card. I've got two different styles of card for him. The thing is, I mean, how many phone calls are you supposed to make and be turned down before, you know, people actually listen? Hey, I'm trying. All of the lawyers that I talked to all told me the same thing that I've been telling Miss Peaches. Write it down. Marion and Norma. This is a card for MHP. This is the place in Longmont that Miss Peaches took me to try to get help. And the problem is that none of these people would talk to any of the witnesses, and none of the witnesses were making very much effort to come forward. These are two of the officers who took part in the cover-up in the Arapahoe County Jail. Alfredo Porras, Sergeant, Detention Operations, and Davis. I told them about the abuse that I was enduring in there, and they told me that they weren't going to investigate it because they trust their officers. Fuck you. You owe it to your constituents to investigate it, especially when I gave them a list of people who were there, who were willing to come forward and actually testify. And also a list of people who were too afraid to come forward because they were afraid of retaliation by the guards. Here's one that's from Corunna Counseling, Nicole Peralta. Another one from Nicole Peralta. Another one from Nicole Peralta. Another one from Nicole Peralta. These are all appointment cards, appointments that I made it to. Scottsbluff County Public Pretender. They did not do their jobs. In order to not be tortured in the jail there and actually get the evidence that I needed, I literally pled guilty to something I shouldn't have had to. Here's another one from Stephanie J. Cotton. Here's another one from Zoe Tanner. Here's Jill Gookin, my public pretender who replaced Zoe Tanner and Stephanie J. Cotton. Here's Sheriff Scott DaCosta. How much more can we find in this fucking pile? I mean, there is a lot in here. Oh shit, I just spilled soda pop on some of my evidence. That is not good. There's also a list in here of, here's another one from Nicole Peralta, different style of card. Another one from Nicole Peralta, different style of card. I mean, that's what all of these things are full of, is appointment cards and so on and so forth. Each one of these appointment cards, here's Kara Heller from the Colorado Coalition of the Homeless. This all proves that I was trying to get help, and the police outright, no matter what, would not look at the evidence. I tried to hand it to them on a silver fucking platter, and they wouldn't take a look at it. See, Jeff and Kara. Here's another appointment card from Nicole Peralta. And another appointment card from Nicole Peralta. Another one from Kara Heller. Another one from Colorado Coalition of the Homeless, Lindsay Metcalf. Here's another one from Corona Counseling. Here's one from Nettie's Treasures, David Nelson. Here's one from Out, Boulder County, connecting Colorado, Boulder County's LGBT community since 1994. No, I am not LGBT or T. However, a lot of my friends are. Natalie Bollinger and Alicia Bollinger are both bisexual. Maddie Boa is definitely a homosexual. Here's one from University of Wyoming. I mean, I literally tried to go everywhere that I could, and all these places are telling me, Sean, you're legally supposed to have somebody assigned to you, but none of these places would help me get someone assigned. And they all told me, well, because of the mentally ill thing, we can't take your case. We need you to come forward. We need your witnesses to come forward. They need to write it down, or we can't do anything. You have to have basically a guardian, like a guardian ad litem, to come in with you. Let's see, we got more cards over here. Let's go through all of these. All right, these are Nebraska EBT card. Here's a rewards card that I got at 7-Eleven in Denver. That was right after Natalie was killed, and before they found the guy that killed her. I was in contact with Danica at the time. Yes, more cards. I'm just pulling out a shit ton of fucking cards from this pile. Lakewood Police Department, Lakewood, Washington, Officer Wiley. Rollins Police Department, George Phillips. Lakewood Towing and Transport. These guys stole my fucking vehicle. Cheyenne Regional Medical Center. I mean, I was obviously trying to get the help that I needed every fucking step of the way. Here's another one from Comprehensive Life Resources. These guys didn't do jack shit but waste my time and money. A lot of people treated me like shit, including a lady named Flo up there, because people just assumed that I didn't make any effort. But then she called the place, which most of these people didn't bother to do. Here's some numbers for churches up there that I was supposed to call, and I did call them. They didn't do any fucking good. Here's another one from Comprehensive Life Resources. Here's one from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Here's Jay Calhoun from the Rawlins Police Department. He was one of the officers involved. Um, James R. Mustin from the TA truck stop. This one's from the Econo Lodge in Rawlins, Wyoming. Here's another card from Calhoun. Carbon County cabs number. And here's one from First Choice Inn. I actually have some stuff written down by a lady who works here. Those ladies told me a little bit about what the police officers had said on the police scanner because they were listening to the police scanner when these officers arrested me. Now, at the time, I was trying to turn in Rand Ingersoll for child abuse. Officer Jay Pendleton from Cheyenne, Wyoming. Officer Miles and Rippey from Cheyenne Police Department. Sheridan Police Department from Sheridan, Wyoming. Nick Kaminsky. The thing is, without an advocate, I couldn't get the help that I needed. They just kept on making any excuse to lock me the fuck up. Here's a whole bag full of stuff. We'll see what's in here. Here's another card right here. I wonder what this one says. Lafayette Police Department from Lafayette, Colorado. M. Christ. See what else we got in here. The Civil Rights and Public, www.ic3.gov. People gave me all sorts of this stuff to look up. The problem is that without people coming forward, and a lot of people claim that they did, but they provided no proof that they ever actually tried. They didn't take down the names of the officers. They didn't do any of that. Meanwhile, they weren't on suicide watch. They weren't prevented from having pencils and pens. I mean, there is just so much of it. Legal Aid of Wyoming, St. Joseph's Food and Pantry. I mean, this is all stuff that I collected. Let's see. Here's some more on child abuse and neglect and so on and so forth. Amy Witcher's number. I mean, there's a lot on here. Here's some more cards. And you pull them out. With a lot of this stuff ended up getting wet. That's what happens when you're homeless. The thing is, everything that I could have used to be able to defend myself, I was prevented from having. Every time I tried to turn in police officers or turn somebody in for domestic abuse, this stuff was taken from me. Here's Officer Mall from Cheyenne Police Department. Here is Ruiz from Cheyenne Police Department. Huff from Cheyenne Police Department. Another one from Officer Huff from Cheyenne Police Department. See, once they got your number, they fucking stay on it. And this is all stuff that I have to go through, and I have to try not to have a panic attack. I fucking freak out just looking at it. And a lot of these pieces of paper, Pierce County Aging and Disability Resources, Adult Protective Services, 253-476-7212. That would have been, I believe, in Washington State. See, here's some numbers for some lawyers. Here's some stuff that's too wet to read. Here's Protection and Advocacy, 1344 Stockman Street, Cheyenne, Wyoming. I mean, all these places have all these excuses why they can't do anything. Every fucking one of them. And like the whole time, I'm going to all these places. More from Comprehensive Life Resources. I mean, this stuff is, you know, there's a fucking ton of it. And people aren't understanding that giving me a number isn't what's going to help me. I need people to actually write it down. But then when you're depending on people like Brett Roloff, who's strung out on meth, and you're having to depend on Amber Russell, who's strung out on meth, or you have to rely on Shannon Alvarado, who's fucking drunk and belligerent, and I'm not allowed to stream about being stuck in these situations. And people say, you put yourself there. You're right. You're right. I did, because I needed help, and these people promised to help. The problem is that they were too fucked up to actually do so. I mean, God, it's going to take me just forever to even go through all the cards, let alone everything that's written down on whatever piece of paper that I happen to have at the time. I got hundreds of receipts that have stuff written on them. I mean, I'm overwhelmed, and because somebody is overwhelmed, it makes it okay to abuse them. There's another one from Wyoming University. I mean, this is just cards. There's another bag with some stuff in it. I mean, this is, oh, I might have written some stuff down on this piece. There were some places where, because I was denied access to, let's see, Hart and that Hicklin. When you're in the jails and you're on suicide watch, you get your food in a styrofoam container. So one of the things that I had to do to be creative was to write it down on here. I would scratch it in with my thumbnail. And that way, because the first thing I forget is names and phone numbers. So I had to try to write it down so that I wouldn't forget it. And those officers, they knew this. They were all aware of this. And that's because those police, they have interdepartmental communication. Um, Here's one that was written by Shannon Alvarado. And this, I was at her house for hours while she's telling me hours and hours worth of stuff that she needed to be writing down, but she wasn't writing any of it down. She was too busy talking the whole time. On September 8th, 2019, I received a call on my voicemail from 866-476-6723 from a Robinson, supervisor, either lieutenant or captain, saying he was calling regarding Schwartz, who is in custody there, Carbon County Jail. I returned his call and he stated that Sean was in fact in custody there and called to ask whether I was willing to offer any information about Sean and the person he was type of thing. I told him that Sean had Asperger's syndrome, high functioning autism, and he stated that Sean had told him that I requested that they document Sean's Asperger's autism in his paperwork so everyone there knew this. They took complete fucking advantage of that, I'll tell you what. So he wasn't mistaken for a drug addict / drunk or crazy person. He assured me that he would let the other officers know. I told him that Sean had anxiety, PTSD, severe panic attacks, and to please not force him to take any medications or try to sedate him. He said that they would not do that. That ended up being complete bullshit, too. They went out of their way to send me into a panic attack, and I mean, fuck, it was a goddamn pain in the ass. And this is the first thing Shannon ever wrote down. This is about the situation. If you type in the word Ray Ray on my video search, you'll hear the conversation with Rand Ingersoll. You can also see the conversation with myself and Rollins PD. I mean, she did write some down finally, but this is all that I was ever able to get out of her. Meanwhile, when I had spent 2 months at her house, I got to listen to her screaming the whole fucking time. I'm like, it should not be this difficult to get you to keep your word, but I understand they're alcoholics. You can't expect an alcoholic to do anything useful. Here's freedom counseling and shit like that. I mean, how am I not supposed to be overwhelmed with all of this? How am I supposed to just function normally with all of this going on? Oh my God, I found a picture of Rihanna. I'm going to sit that to the side. I'm glad I have that. The police do everything in their power to prevent the truth from coming out when they're doing fucked up shit. And God, there is so fucking much of this. These are just numbers and numbers and numbers of resources. But the thing is, having all of these numbers for resources does me no good unless somebody is willing to go in with me. I made hundreds of phone calls, went to dozens of appointments with these fucking therapists. I mean, almost everywhere I went. Here's one from while I was in Larimer County Jail. The pretrial investigator on the 23rd was new, so I have not yet seen a magistrate or had an advisement or bond hearing. Steve Gregory didn't understand that I get to go to a bond hearing advisement video court within 24 hours of being booked. He assumed because a temporary bond was already set that I had already had video court and did not have me put on the docket for the 24th of October. I have not seen a magistrate yet. Um, Here's one, the pretrial investigator, and there's more to it. Pretrial investigator, all right, that one's the same shit, but it's a different copy of it. I need access to medical and mental health over the trauma I received at this facility and others. I require x-rays on my back instead of being offered Tylenol. I need officers who are not antagonistic instead of the nurses like Lynn, who took obvious pleasure in my pain by smiling and laughing at me while I was locked up in a nasty cell and booking, begging for help. I require special accommodations for autism, PTSD, and degenerative disc disease. 23-hour lockdown is the opposite of what I need. These officers and nurses need to be trained or fired, and body cams with audio need to be worn at all times to prevent staff from bullying innocent people into meltdowns and assaulting them. Yes, they did everything that they could to do the opposite of what it is that they should have been doing. Nebraska State Patrol Criminal Identification Division, I have their number, and the FBI, and that kind of shit. I mean, it's just so much fucking shit. And I tried to write everything down as much as I possibly could. The notebooks that I had when I was writing down about me and Miss Shelley, and Shelley was the one who actually suggested that I write everything down, but I was already writing everything down by then. Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Um, there's all sorts of shit here in the mail. There is just such an incredible quantity of it. Let's see. Here's the health coverage, health plan stuff from my dad's house, 4845 East D Street, Tacoma, Washington. Here's Department of Health and Human Services, Sean Schwartz, and Brenda Dickinson. And that fucking took forever to get. That was a lot of my disability determination stuff. But the thing is that, like, I'm not capable of handling all of this. I need somebody to actually help me in person. With a lot of this stuff that I was waiting on, I had to wait on people to actually have time to keep their word, have time to answer the door. And with Brenda Dickinson, she just wasn't answering the door. Here's more Social Security stuff. I mean, it's just a massive quantity of bullshit to go through. And people think that this is easy. Having to go through all of this, having to deal with police officers when you have to go in by yourself and you don't have the ability to record it and things of that nature. Like the situation when I had to go see Amanda Jonas. I should have been able to record everything. But then there's the fact that they call from a non-specified number, a private number, and you don't have their phone number as a result of that. And you also don't know when they're going to call. So getting it prepared so that you can actually record the telephone call isn't a happening thing. Here's a bunch of the numbers that ended up. Gotta find a way to show that without the reflections coming off of it. This is on uh, and oh my god, an evidence packet, the guitar keychain. Now that's the thing, is that when I was in Virginia, when I was supposedly stalking Natalie and Alicia, that guitar keychain was a gift from Alicia Bollinger. The work that I did out of Labor Ready, that was a job that Alicia Bollinger got me. I mean, this isn't shit that you're gonna do for a stalker. Legal Aid, Lynn Lowe. I mean, these are all people that I called repeatedly when I was up there. And then there's more over here. Sorry, let me pull it backwards further. And then we'll open it up. There's even more. I mean, I was busy the whole time trying to get help, being blown off from all of these places, being told that I'm not trying. You know, I mean, this is a lot of shit to fucking go through. I need a place where I can sit down with this and work on it straight through. For somebody who's autistic, immersion is how we learn. It's also how we get things done, which is why we can get things done faster than other people as well, because we jump in and we just fucking go at it. But then when you have to worry about Shannon and her rules at her house, which prevented me from doing the stuff I needed to do during the day, like calling these business numbers and calling these police stations and things of that nature. And then at night, you can't do much because she's busy streaming, and you can't sleep because she's busy streaming. You can't do anything because Shannon Alvarado is busy fucking streaming. And then she doesn't want anybody to know that she was busy fucking streaming, and she gets mad at me because I'm talking shit. Like, no, Shannon, no, it's not talking shit. It's the fucking truth. And Amber Russell was saying the same thing to me. You know, Sean, it's fucked up of you to talk shit. I'm like, I'm not talking shit. I recorded what was going on there at fucking in Bristol, Virginia. I recorded Amber Russell. I recorded the bullshit that she was doing. Um, Fuck, that hurts. More cards. Oh my god, that poor hornet. Oh, alright, it's squished. I don't think it's gonna suffer anymore. I accidentally crushed it with my computer earlier. I thought it was dead. The problem is that there's so fucking much of it, and all of these people saying, "All right, well, Sean, you go in and I'll do this," and I'm like, "No." The thing is, I've explained to all of these people repeatedly, if you don't go in with me, they're not going to do a goddamn thing. Uncensored inmate mail. This is from Shannon Alvarado. It's even got her address on it. I'm not going to show that to you as a result of that. Ace flaring and checking. Derek Apodaca. This has got the names of some witnesses on it. Jason Carabello is another witness to the shit that I had to go through in there. Here's some more phone numbers and shit like that. I mean, I need help with it. There's no way for me to possibly go through all of this, especially having to live with alcoholics or druggies or people like that. Being overwhelmed, I definitely do need to be in an environment where I can sit and work on this and not have a bunch of stuff going on. This one was something I wrote down for Let's see, Burt McMillian, Fully Rebecca Ann. Uh, I mean, fuck. How is anyone supposed to do anything with all of this going on? Now, mind you, a lot of this is repeat. It's stuff that I've already posted up before. Um, but I mean, it's overwhelming. It really is. Um, this is a diary that I made when I was in Arapahoe County Jail, and a lot of it, there's blank spaces in here because they kept putting me on suicide watch to punish me for speaking out about their officers, and they did that a lot. They prevented me from going to my court dates there as well. But the thing is, when you're in custody, they can't very well pull the bullshit that they did in other jurisdictions. That you know they couldn't pull that in Arapahoe County because I was in custody. Um, let's see, um, more cards. Here's Chanel Fontana. Um, here's another card. It's got Officer Jonas's number on it. Or it was supposed to be. These police officers who actually get sent to a generalized number. This is to basically have it so they can call you off guard and you don't have the opportunity to record it. I mean, it's even more cards. Here's another one from Kara Heller. We'll put it in a pile over here. Um, here's another one from Nicole Peralta, Corona Counseling. Um, Justin Short, Envision Counseling. This is from Bozeman. Um, here's another one from the same place that Miss Peaches took me. I mean, that's the thing, is that it's not that I wasn't trying to get the help, and it wasn't that Miss Peaches wasn't trying to help, but the police wrote down that nobody was trying to help, and because Miss Peaches never came forward about this shit, the fact that we were doing this stuff, she made zero effort to actually do that. None whatsoever. She made zero effort to go in with me into the police station, speak to the police, and tell them, hey, we've been trying. We've been going to these places. But she made zero effort to do that. And the police wrote down whatever the fuck they wanted. And, Miss Peaches knew that what they were writing down was a fucking lie, but she didn't make any effort to say anything or do anything about it in court or otherwise. She had to be afraid for her children. And that's pretty fucked up. Here's some more phone numbers. That's a routing number and an account number. I don't know what that's about. I even saved my Western Union receipts. Here's Nat Shelley, Natalie Danica, Amanda Engline's number. Here's 2 pages worth of phone numbers that I'm only going to flash because I don't want you guys freaking out because I posted your numbers up. There's Haley, Candace, Michelle, Lisette Brown, Peaches, Caramia, Laura, the emergency room. It's a shit ton of it. Tinkerbell, Haley, Amy Witcher, Becky Ryder, Candace, Cara, Cody, Darren O'Connor, Jay Lynn, Jeff Ritter, Jesse, Jamie, Cara, Ken, Kinga, Lori Dale. It's a fucking shit ton of it. And none of these people came forward. A lot of them are pissed off and won't talk to me, but at the same time, they're not having to go through this punishment. And it's fine because it's not happening to them. For Miss Peaches throwing a fucking tantrum about the shit that she's throwing it about, it's fine for her to do that, but I have to be calm at all points in time when I'm going through complete and total fucking hell. Megan and Matthew. This has got the address of the house that I'm in now. This is Megan Christie's number. She never bothered answering. I don't know why she gave me her number. The first thing that I need to do is get a guardian ad litem, basically, get a power of attorney. But I don't know anybody who can do that. Nobody has the time. Disability Law Center of Virginia. And there's that bag to the side, put this bag to the side, and I'll start a video on. There's another bag with stuff in it. I mean, how is somebody not supposed to be overwhelmed with all of this going on? Here's a list of witnesses of the stuff that I've been going through that they didn't want to come forward, but I don't give a fuck. I still told their stories for a reason. Linda Elliott, Case Morris, Ben Beardsley, Lana Engeline, James Golden. I wrote Amanda Engeline too. Lana and Amanda there. Mariah Roy, Jerry Sparks, Jenny Frerick, Sam Wilkins, Brandon Jepson, Angela Wade, Eric Schwartz, Tara Hicks, Veronica Randall, Alicia Bollinger, Brenda Dickinson, Maddie Boa, Lexi Woods, Veronica Bruce, Pierre Byron, Amanda Payne, Andrew Witcher, Amy Witcher, Jamie Curtis, Todd Rust, Laura Nelson, Tom Nelson, David Nelson, TJ Payne, Jessica Martindale, Josh Martindale, Justine Martindale, Brent Jepson, Officer Will, Jessica Martindale's husband. His name is William Barr, by the way. Alex, Dana, Rory, Jason, Gary, Mary, Sean, Cammie Jepson, Christopher Tapp, Brian Townsend, Dennis Dickinson, Mary Schwartz, Brian Schwartz, Roberta Richards, Mackenzie, that's Mackenzie Checkman, Devin Cockerill, Teresa Orn, Brandy Copen, Neil DiMuccio, Candace Dale, Mark Swanigan, Lori Dale, Desiree Leonard, Brandon Ratner, Brett Roloff, Darren O'Connor, Dee Dee Klang, Rachel Klang. Rachel Klang was actually molested by her sister. Joanna Taylor, Derek Parrish, Janine Barrett. Janine is dead, by the way. Rochelle Shelley Campbell, Danica Michelle Garner, Chris Weaver, that's Ogre. Shauna Sinclair, Mandy Singer, Rose Kelly, Ted Bollinger, Megan Christie, Christine Buhit, Bridget, Steve, Mateo Talbot, Alex Furman, Tabitha Cook, Kevin Javon Hubert, Tim Beeson, Todd Case, Amanda Daniels, Josh Hughes, Molly Smith, Jace Jepson, Gilbert Ortega, I guess it's Ortega, Kayla Manning, Kayla Trujillo, Shannon Alvarado, my little sister Tara, Dan Faber, Brenda Dickinson, Mandy Hughes, Graham, that's Tabby's friend at the time. He's actually Tabby's boyfriend now. Amy Spencer, Katie Kate, Katie Doty, Ben Beardsley. I think I already wrote Ben Beardsley over here. Ken Wilson, David and Bo, OSHA, Polly Olson, Diane Boatman, Zach Boatman, Jasmine, Derek Apodaca, Missy Layla Johnson, Evan Daca, Celine Maestas, Carmia, Sarah Miller, Sarah Johnson, Sarah Bacon, Sally Treon, Kara Johnson, Pauline Florentino, Hannah Joss, Melissa Joss, Michael Pennington, Victor King, Rihanna Ingersoll, Nicole, that's Rihanna's sister, by the way, it's Nicole McIntosh, Don Bird, Leah Plunkett, Tim Costa, Jeremy Elliott, Joanna Taylor, I already wrote down, Janine Barrett, I already wrote down, Mahaley, I already wrote down, Stephen McMillian, Catherine Beata Vallis, Kim Vala Martinez, Casey Hernandez, this is from the jail, Casey Hernandez, Andre Norman, Chris Westover, Joshua Jackson, Rob Townsend, Enrique LeBaron. That was the guy who was being. I stuck up for that guy. He's got mental disabilities, and they were pretty mean to him for it. Kelly Wilmuth, Jeff Baldridge, Becky Ryder, Steve Green, Mariah Roy, Zach Mandrake, Corbin Bailey, Bailey Beers, OSHA Hibden, Amy Kingery, Clyde Townsend, Sword and Scale episodes 109, 110, Josh Boudet and his Josh, who works for Mike. Pam from the Boulder County Jail was a mental health worker there who told me that stuff that Boulder County did at the hospital, they do frequently to homeless people. Jennifer Dazowski, who worked for Nancy Grace at the time I wrote this down. Jacob Mann, George Helmstetter, Deshawn, Oscar Savage, Landis Lacey, Ryan Parker, Michael Olmstead, he actually assaulted me, by the way. Robert Rucker, Oswaldo Hernandez, Josh from 6 David 14, Kenneth Jackson, Khalil Blackwood, Cody Arndt, Antonio Del Real Pena, Jeffrey Ritchie, Charles Carabeo, Davis Crowell IV, David With, Tennille Ellis, Victor West, Lamont, Martin Anderson, Noah Benson Matthews, David With, I wrote down already, Juan Antonio Sanchez, Elias Harr. There's another list like this. Here's more phone numbers and witnesses. Like I said, there's some of these that I wrote down more than once. Let's see. Callaway, Office of Sheriff Detention Facility. I wrote down as much as I possibly could. Bondsman's numbers. Nicole Jarrell, that's the name that I was trying to remember before. Nicole Peralta, Jen Beebe, Jeff Ritter, Tara Heller, and Tamara. That's a list of the mental health people that I was seeing before Natalie was killed. So that's with the exception of Jen Beebe. And all of these people I was trying to be in contact with afterwards. Amanda Balehash, Zoe Tanner, Catherine Hay, Jill Gookin were my public defenders. Some of my public defenders. Lamont Martin Anderson, Victor West, Neil Ellis. Officer Bwensley was a medical officer who was fucking with my head. Let's see, there's Dexter, not the TV show. This is actually the mental health worker in Arapahoe County, and she just treats everybody like shit. Jay Lynn was the Broomfield and Adams County victims' rights advocate. I was never given a victims' rights advocate. They refused to take my reports, refused to understand that I was being abused. And when you try to turn in police to another police officer, those police start to abuse you. Tara Miller, I mean, there's just miles and miles and miles of this stuff. Here's even more. Dwayne Eugene Kirkland, U.S. or UCC, constitutional self-claimed Bill of Rights advocate, Overwatch for the public, from Victor, Montana. This guy actually when I was on the bus with this guy, and I found out that Alicia was missing from a guy who used to be a mutual friend. I guess she's not friends with him anymore. Rapid City Crisis Options. Here's Temple Free Will Baptist Church, Pastor Paul Collins in Bristol, Virginia. People keep saying, hey, Sean, you need to go to these churches for help. Churches tell me to go to the police for help. I'm like, I can't go to the police for help. I've tried that repeatedly, and they keep locking me the fuck up. I'm trying to tell them what's going on. No matter what, they won't look at the evidence. No matter what. Unless somebody goes in with me. There's some more. I mean, there's just an incredible amount of this. Denver 7's number, 303-832-0200. News tips at thedenverchannel.com. I also needed to try to get a hold of the Social Security newsletter. My battery's getting low. I'm sorry about all that. I'm going to hit close here. Damn, I got gas. I mean, that's, at least in the course of this video, I was able to get the cards sorted out from a lot of the other stuff. There's still a ton more cards. Oh, there's some more. There's 2 more of them from Nicole Peralta. Each one of these from Nicole Peralta represents an appointment that I made it to. So let's pull out all the Nicole Peralta ones, and mind you, I'm missing a bunch of them, and we'll count how many there are. Just from Nicole Peralta. Sean wasn't trying to get any help. Sean wasn't trying to get any help. No, I was. They're all fucking dead ends. When a male is being assaulted, nobody can do a goddamn thing. When a male is being harassed, nobody can do a goddamn thing. Glenn Biggs, his name is on the back of this Rollins Police Department card. And he is, well, about as useless as fucking tits on a boar. More recruiting and counseling. Let's see how many we have here all together, though. That one's from Colorado Coalition of the Homeless. That one's from Colorado Coalition of the Homeless. Fuck, I need a new goddamn back. How is somebody not supposed to be overwhelmed with all of this stuff I have to make reports on? All of it. But we'll just, I don't want to dig through this fucking pile anymore. From Nicole Peralta, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wasn't trying to get help. No, it's the fact that these places don't help. Crew counseling isn't a police officer. They can't make the police do their jobs. But Nicole Peralta could have had the police come in and speak with me, with her in the room. Same thing with Jen Beebe. But when we tried that with Jen Beebe, the officers here in Chapel, Nebraska had lied to her, said that I attempted to suicide by cop. That's what they told her. They said I had attempted to suicide by cop and reached for one of their firearms. Fuck you.